with parents and educating them how much athletics costs at high school level to operate. When we start with pay to participate, it begins that focus on how we spend our money and what we spend it on. And so that was the biggest thing. We had to educate parents on what the money was going towards and what it wasn't going towards. And it puts a lot of focus and a lot of stress on our coaching staff too, because then they're put into situations where, you know, they're worried about getting kids in games or not in games, or worried about the focus from the parents being on playing time. And really, our parents in Medina, it has kind of switched a little bit from about playing time. I mean, everybody wants to play, everybody wants to be in the game. But on the other side of it, they feel as though they're making an investment, a large investment in our case, that they want to make sure that we're going to camps, we're going to shootouts, and we're doing things in the offseason. So that increased scrutiny on a coach has kind of moved a little bit from playing time necessarily to what the coaching staff is doing for the program as a whole. You know, it was an unfortunate situation where we had a senior captain starter volleyball player returning, and unfortunately had struggled in the spring quarter, which was the quarter leading up to her eligibility for volleyball, and she failed 2 classes and was ineligible. And she was heartbroken. They were devastated as a family. And a lot of times we give those kids the opportunity to still hang out with the team, maybe a manager role, statistician, do everything they can to help their teammates. Well, this was a former captain, so she was heavily involved. And a lot of times we'd see those kids that we give that opportunity to kind of disappear after a few weeks because maybe it's not worth it, or maybe go get a job or other interests. Well, this young lady stuck it out all season long. And for some kids, they would have been too embarrassed to sit there in street clothes on the bench, but she stuck with it. And she had a large leadership role, even though she couldn't play in any of the games. So it just happened that we had an extremely successful volleyball season. We made it to regionals, which we would have had to make it to regionals for her to be eligible because the first 9 weeks was over, and now she's eligible to play. We're in the regional semifinal game. A lot of stress on a coach too, because oh my gosh, now I have this player back who hasn't been here all year because she was ineligible. Do I play her? Do I not play her? Well, and then on top of it, we have this $660 pay to participate. And there's girls sitting on the bench that haven't played all year, but were eligible to play. And their parents are looking and watching and going, well, if this girl's going to play, she better pay her $660. You know, as a person with feeling and a heart, you want to give this girl a break, and she has the possibility of playing in 1 game, but for $660, well, they made the sacrifice and they made it happen. She actually got to end her career on the court. Now, when I look back at it, I think, now, what a life lesson to this young lady. She experienced some adversity. She could have blamed it on everybody else. She could have ran the other way, but she stuck with it. And as she stuck with it and put in the time throughout the year, her parents then came through in the end and made it possible, and they paid $660 for her to play in 1 game. And unfortunately, we didn't win, or she could have maybe played in 2 or 3, but you know, that is a life lesson that girl is going to remember for the rest of her life. And I guess that's what high school sports in general is about, is learning life lessons. There's no justification to it. It's just the cold hard facts. And that was when first year it was a 10% drop, second year was 21% drop, and that's when our Board of Education really went back and had to evaluate where we were paid to participate. It was almost like it was a knee-jerk reaction originally, and even some of those board members would agree with that. That, hey, we were in tough financial times, you can't cut a math class, but you can cut athletics. Well, instead of cutting it, we had to charge a large amount of money. Now we've been 2 years into it, we've been able to reallocate resources, do things differently, you know, from a business standpoint that have freed up some funds, and then they were able to cut our pay to participate in half. That doesn't mean we had more money coming in, it just means it's coming from a different part of the school community to pay for it. And you know, unfortunately, we're excited about it. You know, it's kind of sad when you're excited about $330, but it's a lot better than $660.